Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Coral and today I'm going to be doing another Dark Tower tie-in video. So if you haven't watched any of these before, I found this list with a reading order suggestion for the Dark Tower and other Stephen King's other works that connect into the Dark Tower. So I've been following that list. I will put a link to the video up above if you would like to watch my whole explanation for it, but that's pretty much it. So today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about the connections in The Stand and also The Dead Zone, both obviously by Stephen King. So I'm going to talk about The Stand first. This is one of my favorite Stephen King books so far. I think The Long Walk is still my favorite, and I think then I'd probably say The Stand after that, and then after that, The Girl Who Loves Tom Gordon. Those are my top three, I think, so far. And man, The Stand is really just an epic. It is a journey, and it's so very basically like good against evil. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting, and I don't know, I don't want to give too much of the plot away because it's really such a great book. But basically there is a super flu, they call it Captain Trips, and it's basically decimated the most of the population. So some of the survivors, they start finding each other, and some of these survivors, they're seeing these visions of an elderly woman named Mother Abigail, and some of them are migrating to try to find her. And then on the opposite side, there are a group of like bad guys who are migrating to find Randall Flagg. And I think that's the biggest connection in this book to the Dark Tower, is that Randall Flagg is in this book. Not just a mention of him, not just like a mention of like the Dark Man or some dark boogeyman. Like, he's in this book, and he is such a great character. In all the books that I've read where Flagg or the Dark Man or Walter has been in them so far, he is so great. So I think that's the biggest connection in The Stand is, like I said, Randall Flagg. He's also Walter in the Dark Tower. He's Flagg in The Eyes of the Dragon. He is also called the Dark Man or the Man in Black, and he has so many nicknames, and he's alluded to in so many of King's works. So he is such a big tie between all these books. But there are another couple things, smaller instances that could connect to the Dark Tower, such as the fact that Captain Trips kills off most of humanity in 19 days. 19 is a reoccurring number in the Dark Tower series. There's also a reference at one point. There is like a crow that a character sees, and she feels like it has Randall Flagg's Ka, which is from the Dark Tower. That means like his soul. And then there's also this part where they talk about how Randall Flagg is Legion. They call him Legion, and that's another thing that ties into the Dark Tower. So, The Stand, a great book. I gave this book 5 stars. Like I said, it is one of my top 3 Kings. It's such a great epic tale, and it's a book that's very long. This chunker is, I'm not sure how big this mass market paperback edition is, but the hardcover copy of it is like 1,200, 1,300 pages. It's massive, but it goes down so easy. And you know, King, he likes to dwell on the minutia of things and like these weird menial tasks. And sometimes in his books, I get so, I don't know, like my eyes start to glaze over when he's doing that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know, but can you stop, please? And he doesn't. But I feel like there wasn't as much of that in The Stand, even in, I mean, I read the expanded edition, and you know, maybe also like there was that, but it didn't bother me so much because I liked the book so much. I don't know. Anyways, The Stand, 5 stars. Such a fucking blast. Read it if you haven't, it's so good. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about, oh no, you poor little book. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about The Dead Zone. This was a first time read for me. I don't really hear anything about The Dead Zone. I remember like the TV show being on when I was a kid, and I've seen the movie adaptation with Christopher Walken, but apart from that, like I don't hear lots of people talking about The Dead Zone when they talk about Stephen King, you know? Like you get like Pet Sematary, It, you get 11/23/62, 11/22/63, you get The Stand, you get The Dark Tower, but you don't get The Dead Zone, and I think that that is a travesty. The Dead Zone was really good. It's the story of a teacher, his name is Johnny Smith, and he gets into this car accident, and he's in a coma for like 5 years, and when he wakes up, he has like some telepathic powers. He can touch people and see their future or feel things about them, or you know, he just gets these telepathic visions kind of, and sometimes they're warnings, sometimes there are things about the person's past that they don't know, stuff like that. And really, I think there's one plot point in this that didn't really make any sense because it felt like they were building that plot point up. It's after he comes out of his coma, there is the was it the Castle Rock Strangler? Can't remember if they call him the Castle Rock Strangler or I think it's Castle Rock Strangler. And you know, the police need his help to find him. So like I was kind of geared up for that, and like that's only halfway through the book, so I'm like, what's the other half of this book gonna be like? Is it like a long chase for this criminal or what? But then like it's over and done with, so you're like, okay, well, what are the next 200, 300 pages gonna be about? Then comes in Greg Stilson, and he is so reminiscent of a political head here today in our time that is so eerie. He's so, Greg Stilson is our president, basically, is what I'm saying. It's really eerie. And Greg Stilson is kind of tyrannical. He is hot-headed. He is somehow popular in these like little pockets of like rural towns. And our main character, Johnny Smith, shakes his hand at a political rally and kind of sees the future with Greg Stilson. So, you know, the second half of the book is a lot about that. And it was really good. This was a good book, and sorry, I just got interrupted by the door and I have no idea where I was going with my train of thought. But I'm surprised that I don't hear many people talking about The Dead Zone because it was a really great story, and I think it dived into Johnny Smith's ability of telepathy so well, and obviously, you know, it really explored what I think in reality it would be like to have a power like that. Like, it wouldn't just be good. So I really, really appreciated that, and I gave this book 5 stars. I thought it was great. So, connection to The Dark Tower. This one doesn't have as many like in concrete connections like The Standing. Like there's no Randall Flagg or anything like that. But there are a couple things. I know that in one of the Dark Tower books, Nigel the android talks about reading the Dead Zone, and he mentions Greg Stilson, I believe. So that's pretty interesting. Also, the number 19 comes up again right before Johnny's car accident that puts him into a coma. There's also one of the characters lives on Flag Street, and they also at one point bring up the film adaptation of Carrie, which could tie into the Dark Tower. Also with the telepathy ability, that kind of seemed reminiscent of the Breakers in the Dark Tower. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. These are very broad connections, I guess you could say. There's no, like I said, no concrete connectors, but I think that those are interesting enough. I don't know. Dead Zone and The Stand, really great Stephen King novels. Both, I give them both 5 stars. I think The Stand, I like The Stand better than The Dead Zone, but they were both so worth reading. So that is it for right now. I will see you guys next month with another Dark Tower tie-in connections video. Thank you so much for watching. Until my next video, see you later, alligators.